Session of Orthodoxy questions and answers. Well, today I've got a special guest, good friend of ours. Terry and myself is Alexandrou, right?
Yeah.
From actually Cyprus, but you'll tell. Well, let's not tell where you're from. Let's let your accent give you away, okay?
I don't have an accent.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right.
I've known Alex ever since I was in the parish in Flint, and so you live up a little bit north, up in close Saginaw, Bay City, right?
Bay City, that's correct.
Bay City. We actually have an Orthodox church up there, St. Demetrius. Father Timothy Cook, the priest there, wonderful priest, a great community. But Alex came and would visit from time to time, and because I had a large population of Cypriots there, Alex quickly met a lot of people that he got to know, and and we all kind of became friends and got a little pareja going there. So Alex has a show called "It's All Greek to Me," and I'm going to let you explain it. But he's brought me on his show a number of times just to talk about, Greek customs, whether they be cool Greek customs or just downright goofy Greek customs, and we've just kind of had some fun with that. So let me just let you introduce yourself, kind of a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the show, and then just have a little bit of, back and forth.
Perfect.
All right.
Hello, I'm Alex the Greek, Alexandrou. I do a podcast, as Father said, it's All Greek to Me podcast. You can listen to it on any major platforms, or if you have a smart speaker at home or at work, just ask it to play. It's All Greek to Me podcast, and you'll hear me. So you can have access to that. And yes, I was born in England, hence the accent. Technically, I was born with a Greek accent, but when I went to English school, I learned the English accent.
The English accent.
So, and my parents are both from Cyprus. And
they own a fish and chip shop over there, right?
We did, yes. Yeah. We owned a fish and chip shop called Alex Fish Bar. Personally, it could have been called Michalakis, because that's my dad's name, but the letters would have cost so much, and plus Alex was cheap. And
Yeah, exactly. We're like the Scots. Do everything as cheap as possible, right?
The kid in there, Alex Fish Bar. It's a lot easier. So it's amazing when you talk to the customers and they call me Alex, obviously, and then they call my dad Alex, and then they call my mum Alex. So it's just a family of Alexes. So it's great. Like these Greeks, they all have the same name. It's great. But the podcast, it's about things you don't know. And when you don't know it, you say, it's all Greek to me.
All right. Just like this program is, about, hey, what don't we know about Orthodoxy? Yours is just helping explain the culture, right?
Everything,
the Greek culture.
The food, the dancing, you name it. Yes, I'm here to explain it. And if I don't know it, then I go to someone who does.
No, let's be truthful. If you don't know it, you just make it up and make it sound funny. I can't do that, but you just make it up and it sounds funny. That's what's really the best.
Yeah.
And with one of my other parishioners there, John, you do a cooking show now.
We do, yes.
So what kind of things do you do on the cooking show?
Oh, we do everything. Well, whatever we can get. We've done gouluragia, which is the Greek cookies. Grabiede. No, we haven't done grabiedes. That's on the next episode. We've done tzatziki.
Mayeritza. Did you do mayeritza yet?
No, we haven't actually.
No, it'd be too disgusting. Nobody's gonna do margaritza. Okay,
we'll leave that, but off camera.
All right. Okay.
I'm trying to think. Chef d'Aliez is a Cypriot dish. We've done that, and that was really good because I've never made it. Mm-hmm. My dad's always made it, or my mom, and it was actually really good to learn how to do it. So you get to learn Greek food and Cypriot food. And so not only do we do cooking, we also do other things. I have guests on the show. I have different, whether celebrities or everyday people. Because the idea is to educate, entertain, and inspire. And if I can do that, then I've got a show.
Oh, okay.
And so plenty of times, I got to say, there's been times I've come to church and I didn't know any questions, and I'll ask Father, but he didn't know that I was actually noting them down for my show.
So yeah, like the one Christmas show that we did, and we were just talking about Christmas traditions, because what you do in England, let's say a Greek Christmas dinner is different from what we do in America. Is what's going to happen in Australia. It's going to be, those things are going to be kind of different, and so talking about those different traditions was actually kind of fun.
Yeah.
Now you're also an actor too, right?
I am. I am I am classed as an actor. I do a lot of commercials, some filming, major films. For example, Transformers 3, the Red Dawn, the new one with Chris Hemsworth, the new Thor. That was very interesting. He's a nice guy. And then a lot of commercials. We did commercial print. A commercial print is basically the stuff you see on the billboards.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you a story about that in a sec. But billboards, and then you do. Now I'm a registered hand model.
Serious?
Yeah. My agent signed me up, so I'm a hand model now. So the new F1 2021 Ford 150.
Right.
You'll see my hand.
Getting run over or what?
No, pressing the button.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say.
Are you going to encase it in oxygen, just like David Jacobi and
I do have mittens. They come all the way up to my elbow. I got to make sure. And it's hilarious when you're going out and someone says, "Oh yeah, just hold the hot plate." I'm like, "Nope, let me put these mittens on." Okay. In a 5-star restaurant, it's hilarious. Yeah. But with commercial print is funny. I was years ago. I was on a billboard in New York, actually, New York City.
Right.
And they do the street the famous street where everything comes to the
Times
center.
Square?
Times Square, thank you. Well, just to the side of it, there's a building that they do the late show. The late show.
They film everything there. The
Yeah.
late show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
And I remember I went there at the time with my girlfriend. And we walk in, I looked up. Hey, that's me. That's me. And then, of course, I'm looking around and people are standing there and they're looking. They don't know what they're looking at. So they looked at, finally, one person with a family, they turned around and said, "Okay, what are you looking at?" I went, "Me."
That's right.
So that was my little class to fame for New York. That was really neat.
So let's just a little bit about differences, because I think differences are interesting. So coming from and it's London, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you are like in the heart of what would be New York City for us,
Yes.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, okay, so in terms of like expressing orthodoxy in England, what was it like in the church there? I mean, that, and since you've had a chance to compare with, obviously the parishes that you've seen here.
Yes. The first thing that I noticed is your choir. We don't have a choir.
Just chanters, right?
Just the chanters, yeah.
Right,
No, we have the chanters.
Okay.
But we don't have a choir.
Okay, it's just chanters.
Just chanters, yeah. So when I first came to America and I went to church, and you're hearing them sing, or chant in a sense, but you got the choir singing in a sense. That really threw me off. But and also a lot of our buildings in England, the Greek Orthodox Church dominate or bought the English churches.
Oh,
So you
it's
have a
not-
lot of Gothic style.
Right. Okay, so they didn't necessarily have their own churches, but they occupied other churches. Not that we don't do that here in America, but most of ours are built.
Yes,
Okay.
and we didn't have the land, so everything was okay. This is church available. We'll buy it, and then obviously they then convert it into the way the Greek church is now.
All right. Now,
but-
more Greek more Greek.
There
Like
we-
here in America, we don't do as much Greek unless it's the really big cities.
It is a lot more Greek. Yeah. When we go to church, it was dominantly Greek. There was a very few English words spoken.
Okay.
Very, very few. It was mainly Greek, and depending on the church you went to, it was either done very quick or, extended. But
Like here, yeah. Depending on the priest that you get,
okay, I'm going to go on my vacation, so.
Got it. I got it. All right, let's move this liturgy along. Right. Okay.
But it was really different in that sense, because when you go to church, you're going into an old building, and then when you come in America, it's all new. A lot of churches are being built new, or
Right. Like Flint. Well, Flint was brand new,
Yes,
right?
that's right,
Yeah,
yes.
that was a brand new church there.
yes, and so but you have a lot of the old school. You have the grandparents, you have the great grandparents, and obviously the same thing. Greek school was done in the church. The difference I noticed is our Greek church was done on a Saturday morning. Our Greek school, I'm sorry.
Greek school.
Church was on Sunday.
Actually, that's the way that they do it here at this parish. So it's done on Saturday because it's several hours. It's not just like an hour.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
like about 4 hours, and then they take a break in between, and so they do it here the way that they do it the
Okay,
European
that's pretty
style. So we do that too.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Now, one of the things I thought was funny. Now this was in Glasgow when because again visiting Scotland, and so I had a chance to serve when I was in Glasgow, and again same thing. It was a Gothic style church. So I had my book out and I was ready to do the liturgy, and we're talking, and all of a sudden we get to that part that says, "And let us pray for our country and the president and those in the armed forces." And all of a sudden I look down and I'm like, "And let us pray for Her Majesty Queen." And I'm like, "Oh, that's a little bit different." All right, so that kind of caught me off guard a little bit there.
And the other thing is, you guys have space. So, for example, Easter, when you go around the church.
Yeah, right.
Because our churches are in the city, we
Oh,
don't have
so-
that. Ours is around the actual block. In a sense, we go down the high street.
Oh, you go right around.
Yeah, we
Oh.
go right around. So the police are there. We have, blocking streets. And so when we're walking around, for example, I went to Crystal Palace Church, and same thing. The police would come. You're talking, 500-600 people.
Right.
Crystal Palace was the bigger one. That's in South London. We'll have between 500 to 1,200 people.
Oh,
So it'll be
wow.
a whole parade going down the high street, and it's amazing. That's I know it sounds really strange, but that is a goosebump feeling.
Yeah.
You're
When-
walking past, and it's a Friday night. Everyone's just coming back or going out, and they just stop. And we didn't have cell phones back then. Before,
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's amazing how many people kept coming out and they're taking their cameras and snapping and
Yeah, right.
But the nicest thing was the fact that they would ask. There were so many times, as we're walking, people would come up and go, "Okay, what's going on?" Mm-hmm. And we'll explain. And that really helped because the priest, for example, would have tours of the church because people were interested in it. It's almost like the Greek festival.
So
People coming in and they want to know more.
So like now about the priest, because I remember growing up in Tarpon Springs. Tarpon Springs is very old and traditional, and and the priest was this very imposing figure, big long beard, metagenia que wala,
Yeah.
and and my mom was always like, don't bother the priest with all the questions. He doesn't have time for these questions. So I never had any kind of relationship with the priest. So I mean, were the priests a little bit more approachable, or are they like straight from Greece, or are you getting homegrown, British or English priests, or
Good question, actually. A lot of them were from Greece. Some of them homegrown because in Queensway they have the biggest monastery in that or church, and that's where the priests come in to learn to continue. But the ones in my experience, they've been homegrown, and some of them were actually Cypriot. So it was a bit more approachable.
Okay.
So in a sense, they would come out after, for example, we do Greek school,
Right.
And then you'll see your dad playing tavli with them, backgammon.
okay?
And so they'll be drinking Greek coffee, playing backgammon, and that's where you just chilled. That was the only time you couldn't ask the priest because your dad wanted to play.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Right.
But anything, they were very approachable.
Okay,
When
all
it
right.
came to Greek school, the same thing.
Well, and again, I mean, there's obviously a relationship between Cyprus and England, right?
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
yeah, they're independent now, but for a long time, right? They were. What would it be a Commonwealth or?
Yeah, it was part of the Commonwealth. Cyprus got its independence in 1955 from the British, and yes, and then it became an independent island. Then Turkey invaded in '74. And so
Okay, all
divided
right.
the island. But yes, and we still have a couple of British bases there. And if you're, let me get this right, because if you're born in the British hospital, because my cousin was born in the British hospital, he had British citizenship,
Oh, okay. All
but he's
right.
a Cypriot.
Oh, so he has kind of
So he's
dual
citizenship.
dual citizenship.
So they still do that, and so we still have that bond, and that's why we have a lot of Cypriots in England.
Yeah, and they study there too, right? I mean,
Yes.
they go to the certain college in London or Glasgow and the big universities that are there, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And in Cyprus, in Larnaca, they actually have an American university, they call it, an American college there. So we do get some Americans going over there
All right.
to actually study. And so you get that mixture. And Cyprus is a tiny little island, if people don't know it. It's between Turkey on the north side and Egypt on the south side. And the military call it the belly button of the earth because they can go anywhere they want.
Okay, all right.
And so the island's been conquered so many times. In Shakespeare times, Othello was based on Cyprus. The
Really?
Venetians, the Venetians owned it. So
Okay, yeah, all right.
so Othello was based in Cyprus, and then after that, I think it was the Ottoman Empire that dominated it. But prior to that, it was always being Greek. Mythical Greek was Aphrodite was born in Cyprus.
Now, I do remember from being in Flint when I would visit some of the elderly Cypriots in the hospital, I could not understand them. Cypriot is not, when they get going with their Cypriot dialect, I am like, it's like listening to Macedonian. I'm like, they can obviously speak Greek, but Cypriot is not Greek.
Yeah, in England we say the Cypriot is almost like the Queen's English, which is what Greek is.
Okay.
Compared to the Highland Scotland.
Oh, gotcha.
They still speak English, but unless you know.
Unless you know that,
yeah.
I mean, and it's not, I can't even say it's a dialect because I can pick up words in a dialect. I mean, there's a different language. In fact, at least in Flint, the Cypriots there told me that it is the closest to the ancient Greek. Right? Because, in fact, for us, modern Greek, one is Anna, but in Cypriot, isn't it N? So meaning.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Enna, N, Gyo. No, we still say Enna.
Oh, you do?
But I went to Greek school, so we had to learn the Greek. I'm trying to think. Okay, it's been a long time since I've been in Cyprus, but yeah. But for example, watermelon. What is it in Greek?
Karpouzi.
Okay, batika.
Oh, see, yeah,
That would have really thrown you off.
We're not going
to. Batika, you'd be like, number.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Two sugars.
Sounds like a good cocktail.
So it is. It's really, and it's funny because I don't know if you're aware of this, but both countries, even though it's independent, have the same national anthem.
Really, I did not. I thought for sure that Cyprus would have their own. They're right.
I agree. I thought that up when I did a podcast on it. I thought, okay, that doesn't sound right. We must have modified it, but no, it's exactly the same.
Now and then there are a number of I've learned a number of, just like here, I've learned a number of strictly Greek Macedonian traditions that we don't have. Us, the island people, that we don't have. But you've got some really interesting Cypriot traditions that really, don't have.
Yes. There's a lot. The one big factor is the Greek weddings.
Yeah. There's an interesting tradition there with the red sash or something like that.
Yeah, you put it around your waist.
Yeah, what's the whole deal?
Okay, I gotta remember for my time now. I don't know. I do know when they do the red sash, I think it's to bring fertility.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because the idea is you're surrounded. I'll have to check that. That's good. I've got to check that. That's a good question. But it goes around the waist, and you'll have every member come to the household. So if the groom or the bride's at their own place,
right,
then whatever family's there would go to them and then put the sash around them.
Oh, okay.
And the idea is you do it 3 times.
Right.
So I'd like to say something to do with the blood of Christ, but I'm not sure.
Red.
That's the only thing I could think of.
And then isn't there the shaving of the groom by the best man? I think some Greeks have that tradition too, but there's the shaving.
Yeah, just make sure your best man isn't nervous.
Doesn't have a straight razor, right?
Okay. Wait, where is he shaving him?
Huh? Well, no, that's
it's just the face. It is the face.
Just the face.
Sometimes the arms, if we're Greek and we have a lot of hairy arms, but that's about it. But they do, and you're supposed to have a violin. You have a singer at the house when they're getting ready.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
It's actually pretty neat. It's a very interesting tradition compared to mainland Greece to Cypriots. I think the Greeks do the almonds as well.
The kufetes.
Kufetes, that's
right. Okay.
And so, I'm trying to think what else. And of course, we do tusu, the spit.
Right,
So,
right.
Misebgasi domadi, we do that. And yeah.
And explain that so that some people that may be listening don't know. So
As we say, if when you're getting dressed and you're getting married or a baby, you're perfect. So the evil eye doesn't get you, or in a sense, somebody gives you the evil eye, you spit on them, but you don't actually spit.
Yeah.
It's more of the sound. It's like tusu. And the idea is that so that way you're not perfect. So yes, you are perfect, but there's something a little bit different. So that way nobody can be jealous of you in a sense.
no. Now let's be clear: not Orthodox theology, but Greek small t tradition. Right?
Correct,
Okay, let's
yes.
be clear on
Yes,
that. I don't
that
want
is.
questions about what is the theology. There's no theology.
We did do a video on that topic. Why do Greeks spit to ward off people's spirit?
Yeah, well, that's
That's
why I
exactly
forgot all about that. That we did that.
Yeah. And so, there's a lot of, don't get me wrong, wonderful traditions. And if you, for your viewers out there, if you have an opportunity and you have a Greek church near you, don't hesitate. Give them a call. I truly believe that the Greek priest will sit there and be happy to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the vast majority of priests, at least in America here, and that's why I was asking about the UK, are very, very approachable. Like I said, the only difference that I found, and again, my experience is strictly with Scotland, because that's where we spend most of our time, is that, again, they were priests from Greece. Although we had this interesting situation because one of the priests there is, it was St. Luke's in Glasgow.
Okay.
He is, Father Mark, he is from, I won't say where he's from, but he was on Mount Athos. He was one of the monks on Mount Athos.
Wow.
So here is this professor in the University of Glasgow. He retires and he becomes Orthodox. He was Protestant before, he becomes Orthodox, and he gets so interested in the monastic life that he goes to Mount Athos. So here he is in Glasgow. He gets, I don't want to say assigned, but he journeys to Mount Athos, right? Now he's telling us this, but while you go with it. And then he spent, whatever it was, 10 or 15 years on the mountain. And then his abbot comes to him and he says, I have a special assignment for you to help evangelize the Orthodox faith. I am moving you off the mountain. Father Mark's like, I don't want to go off the mountain. I don't want to go, but okay, where am I going? He goes, you're going to a small church in Glasgow. So he's like,
Okay.
No.
What?
now, anybody that thinks that God does not have a sense of humor, Father Mark is your perfect example, and it was just hilarious because he's like, here I am back in Glasgow now, but I am doing what my abbot has asked me to do, but hopefully I will be able to return to the Holy Mountain at some point in time. Now, the other interesting thing, and I don't know if this is the way that it is in England, but in most of the churches, there's about 4 Orthodox churches in Scotland proper.
Okay.
Right? And in each one of those, the priest actually lives on the premises. Okay, like in St. Luke's, he has an apartment that is right attached.
Yes.
Now, in America, we have pretty much given up on the priest's house, so American priests don't live next to the. Now, in England, has that changed? Do you see, or?
To a point when I was there, yes, they would. If there wasn't any property near there, yes, there would be a room that they'll live at. One of the priests, I believe it was the Bishop of Camberwell, he had a room in the back. It was a little apartment, yeah.
And he
lived there.
Oh, okay.
And same.
So they still carry on that
tradition,
that tradition, right?
Yeah, which is really cool because it's nice because if you do want to speak to them, they're available.
Okay.
And that was the nice thing that's what made me like it even more, because if there was questions I wasn't sure of, or for example, I'll take one of my close friends, for example, is a Jamaican. He's a Christian Catholic, and he's never been to a Greek church. And so I said, hey, I got to go church. My family's going to be there, and he already knows them. So he said, oh, I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb. I said, no, don't worry about it. And we went there, and what was nice was the priest would come up and talk to us.
See, okay.
He said, if you have any questions, let me know. You want to drink Greek coffee?
Right.
And that's the hospitality that, you expect, but you don't see very often. I know it sounds weird.
Yeah,
it's kind of behind
I-
the scenes.
Right. People,
And I love
right. People sometimes think that Orthodox priests are very standoffish or something like that, and actually nowadays that's really not true at all. Like you said, most of them are, if not all of them, are very, very approachable.
You
Right?
approached me at church. Because I got to say, I actually would go to church because I enjoyed service and I like tradition. And I remember I'd go to church, service would be done, I'm out the door. And one day you stopped me. I think somebody came up to me and said, Father wants to talk to you.
Yeah, it was because we don't allow Cypriots in our church.
That's right. Yeah, you could only come in by invite. Did you get the invite?
That's right. Unless you have been approved by the Costa family, you cannot be
That's
part
right.
of this parish. A very big Cypriot family
Yeah.
in Flint.
Yeah, a good friend of ours.
And in fact, they actually more than welcome you into the parish. You are kind of a regular at their house. They've almost
Yes.
kind of adopted you
Yes.
as a. I don't want to say a son because you're
More of a cousin.
Well, cousin, yeah, more of like the distant cousin.
Yeah,
so.
it's pretty neat. Because nowadays you notice the language is, not many people are speaking Greek. And you
Yeah.
want to, so when you get his parents come in, they speak the Cypriot.
Oh yeah,
It feels like home.
yeah, exactly. So you get that, and it is important, and in fact, that's one of the things I really enjoy about this parish, because we have so many people that here, even at a younger age, are very fluent in Greek. Because we have the University of Rochester here, we have quite a few students from Greece, who come here. Okay, and their English is very good. I mean, they don't have any problem with English, but you want a piece of home. So coming here, they can sit in coffee hour. Now they can. They can sit in coffee hour, and they can speak a little bit of Greek and talk about the customs. They can get a kuluri if they want, so and they'll understand them. And it's very, very important. This is their home away from home. And so that's a very important part. It's probably
really
the same over there when they travel either from Greece or they come from Cyprus.
Yes, no, I agree. And the nice thing is the fact that even, I know you do this as well, because my parents do this. When you have students come over and they don't have anyone, because their family's back
Yeah,
in Greece or Cyprus or Italy, wherever they are, the Christmas or Easter, my parents would always invite them.
Absolutely, right?
Because no matter what you do, it's you're doing it in a kindness, but that's what we do. That's how I was taught for my family and the church.
Well, Demos, I did that with you, right? Terry and I did that with you when you first. When you were first here. Okay, I know you were here before us, but when you came, right? We said, "Hey, what are you doing for Christmas?" And you didn't really know too many Greeks or stuff.
No, I really appreciate it. That was awesome, and I got a chance to meet your cats too.
You got to meet
yeah.
chance to meet the
And
cats.
that was a highlight.
So and now you're getting more invitation now that they know who Demos is. Now he's getting a lot more invitations from the parish. So that is
That's
that
a
is really a
beautiful
big
community
part.
that way.
This is a great community. It's I hope while you're here you get a chance to meet more.
Oh yes, so do I. Unless Father says, "Okay, you're done. See ya."
Yeah, we.
And I'm like,
No, you're a bad influence. Get away.
What's the saying? Company like fish, begins to stink after 3 days. That's
Body wash.
well.
We do have washer and dryers in America.
What?
We do have washer and dryers.
He
in
went to
America.
Glasgow. Remember, they had the lake, they had a rock, they had whatever they.
And they're Scottish. They're bathing in the loch.
Yeah.
That's where
Well,
that's
that's what the kilts are for. So you get a nice breeze.
That's right. Exactly right. So
Just a couple of things. I wanted to go back.
Yeah.
Did you know that in parts of Cyprus, it's a very small part, they still speak Aramaic?
I did not know that.
I just found that out a year ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew that in certain parts of in the area of Israel and Egypt that Aramaic still existed,
Yes.
but on
On
Cyprus,
Cyprus, yeah, I never expected that.
Wow. Okay.
And Lazarus, you know where he?
Lazarus was
This is cool.
the resurrection. The Jesus who resurrected Lazarus. He became the first bishop of Cyprus.
Yes.
Right. I did know that.
Yeah,
I did know that.
And the church that is in Cyprus, Larnaca, where my family is. So
So
when you're a kid, that's the first church you see. That's
Okay.
the first church they take you to.
Now, and Flint, weren't most of them from Nicosia, from that
Yeah, they're
border,
along the
that border
border.
town? Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and yours is what, a little bit south of that, or?
Yeah, my parents, my dad's Little Ronda, my mum's Managri. And so they were close to each other, but I think about 10 miles from each other. But they were south of where the border is now.
Okay, all right,
So, and then they moved to Larnaca.
all right.
And of course they had an arranged marriage, you know. That's
That
what we
person,
do.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Now, another thing that I noticed when we were stationed in Germany, we would go to the Greek Orthodox Church there when we were in Mannheim, and we got to talk to some of the Greeks there. What I found different in Germany, and I'm going to ask you this about the UK, is Greeks, when they come here, they stay here. This is their new life, right? Kind of the immigration story, right? They come here, this is their new life, and although they go back and they visit Greece, this is home. So this is where they're going to raise their kids, they're going to have grandkids and everything like that. When I was in Germany, or when we were stationed in Germany, it was always about making enough money to go back home. So there was never the intent to settle in Europe. The intent was to go back home. So I found that very different. So in the UK, are they like America or are they more like Europe?
I'd say they're in between.
So-
For example, they would come to England,
Right.
you know, and they'll say, okay, my kids are going to be in English school. They're going to learn the Greek culture, everything else. But when we retire, we're going back.
Oh, when they retire.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
it was. So yes, they want the new life and they want the best life for their kids.
Sure.
But once they retire, they're like, "Poof."
Boom, and they're
We're out,
going back to Greece.
Yeah, because you could visit me there.
And here, I've been at, both in this parish and in Flint, I would ask them, because they were retired. And I say, ¿te tapas, piso sin helado? You're going to go back to Greece? And they're like, no. I'll visit, but I really want to stay here because I haven't been back in a long time. Everybody has died. I don't know anybody, this and that.
Yeah.
So they haven't really maintained those contacts. It seems like the way that Europe and the UK have
Yes,
done.
we
So
still keep
I think
the-
that seems to be kind of a,
I agree. But also the opportunity here is greater. For example, you move to England, you still have access, so much, but you still have access to Europe.
sure,
You know,
absolutely,
you can
yeah.
fly to Cyprus in 4 hours. You can fly to Greece in 3. It's not a big deal. Here, you drive for 3 hours. You're in another. Actually, you're in the same state, really. Yeah, actually, you're in the same.
Yeah. Mm.
You drive 8 hours. Then you're in another state. But with them, you drive 8. For example, London to Scotland's about 6 hours drive. Nobody drives. We're not going to drive 6 hours.
Let me correct you because we made this drive because we were staying in the Highlands. No, the border of Scotland is 6 hours. That's the
the border,
lowlands.
yes,
That's the
yeah.
lowlands. Where we stay, that's 8 to 9 hours because we're in the Huarafia.
you were really
we're
up
in the Huarafia out there in Scotland. So
I'm surprised they don't whistle for their language.
where we stay, the sheep are on the road all the time. That's why it's like being in Greece. Because the sheep are on the sheep are on the roads.
Yeah, look, there goes
What did
our
we call
lunch.
those? Terry labeled them the Gang of Four or the South Side Gang because every time we were driving home back to the cottage, and they're there at night and they don't care. They don't get off the road. They're like, this is our road. Just do what the other Scots do and just
Go around, yeah.
drive around. So. Yeah, when you shine their headlights, they look like children of the corn. It's creepy up there, and because there's no
I
lights.
was going to say, is there anything out there? No, you just get a reflection.
No, but it is very beautiful. So
It
anyway,
is
my-
very beautiful. But my point is, the fact that when they go to England, they know they can go back anytime.
Okay, yeah,
You could technically go for a weekend.
yeah,
You
exactly.
can't really go from here over the pond and go for a weekend.
Yeah,
in
you're not
Greece,
going to do right. That would be a very short.
unless you
weekend.
make a lot of money, which I don't think. But yeah, it is fun. And just to clarify, go back. The Cyprus got its independent, and for all you viewers out there, it is the only flag, I believe, till this point,
I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead.
okay, that has the country on it.
Yes, the
Only
whole country,
flag,
right?
star. There you go. There's Greece, and there's a Cyprus flag. It's the only flag in the world that has its own, country on it.
Yeah.
And it's the smallest independent island in the world. Jamaica is bigger than Cyprus.
Jamaica's bigger than
Yeah.
Cyprus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Well,
So-
I remember in Flint the first few years we would have, every Greek Orthodox parish has their Greek Independence Day program, right?
Yes.
We march with the
Yes.
we march with the American flag, or I'm sorry, with the Greek
Greek
flag,
flag,
right?
yes.
And we come out and think. So about the second year, John Costa's mom
Okay.
and one other lady, they come to me, and they ask me in Greek, and they say, there's a lot of Cypriots here. Why don't we have the Cypriot flag? I didn't even know that you guys, at that point, I didn't even know that you guys had a flag, right? So I says, okay, if you want the flag. So every year after that, we had the Greek flag, and then we had the Cypriot flag, because
okay.
they wanted to make sure that,
Bravo, dus.
now, yeah, bravo to that, right? So she, and John's mom. When she wants something, she's
she's
getting
so
it.
go for it,
She's
yeah.
getting it. The dad is more like, kalaimaster, but so cool. So like I said, I just, I just thought it would be interesting again because you could present to us a perspective of, what it is like in a foreign country, especially the UK. There's a little bit of life there, certainly, and then also, something that is not Greece but has a Greek connection. And so I thought that those two things were really interesting. Yeah. Plus, I mean, and what your show does is it kind of talks about some of those, not everything is devoted, but a lot of that discussion is about, those Greek traditions and Greek things that we do.
Because there's a lot of Greek traditions that we do that is carried on so in everyday life that people don't realize it's a tradition. For example, you have a gomboloi?
Not on me, no,
Okay.
but yeah.
But a gomboloi is a typical Greek. If you look at the old Greek movies, they'll be sitting at the taverna, and in a sense, they look like worry beads.
Well, I thought the gomboloi were essentially worry
Worry
beads.
beads.
Okay, not to be confused with the goboskini. The
Goboskini
goboskini is that little with the
yes.
knots. Okay, but the gomboloi
Yeah.
is more just these things, and they kind of make a clacking sound, and you spin them around, and right.
And there's three ways of using them because they mean three different things. You know? Oh, you didn't know that?
No,
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it's all Greek to you, wasn't
it's all Greek to me. All right.
So a gomboloi, I normally have it with me, but it's can you just imagine worry beads? But it's a little small. It's only about this big.
Right.
And when you flick it through your fingers,
Right.
that means everything's going well.
Okay.
You're happy. You're in a good mood. If you're in a really good mood, for example, you just proposed to your lady and she said yes, that's where they flick it back and forth. And It's
Okay.
quicker. And then when you do it slowly and you're carrying the beads, that's where you're either praying or you're
all right.
thinking.
Thinking, got it.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. So they're almost using it like the goboskini. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think about that. Very cool.
And that's a tradition we've had, but not many people use them anymore. So,
Yeah. Right. And I've seen other people, buy those and pick those up and not really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I see them, they wear around their neck like a necklace. I'm like, that is not a necklace. Okay, it's something else. All right. So what? Yeah. So all right. So anyway, Alex, thank you for that. I appreciate
you're
that.
welcome.
And let's see now if we've got some questions, huh?
All right.
But you have the icon of the week.
Ooh, icon of the week.
Ooh.
All right. So, and I think, Demos, do you have it up on the screen? Okay, so this is one of the icons that we have in our church that is one of the stained glass windows. And a lot of people are very confused by this icon and they're not sure what it is. I can tell you that it is not God the Father. So, my icon of the week, I'm asking you to tell me what it is. Okay? So, and if you see some text in there, will they come back and they give you what it is? So let's see if you all, I'll put it up on the screen a little bit longer just so you can see it, right? But I am curious to see because not a lot of people in our church even know what this icon is. We've got almost like the Stations of the Cross. We've got 12 beautiful icons as stained glass windows, and this is one of them. All right.
You do have a lot of beautiful stained glass windows.
Yeah, thank you.
Really nice.
Actually, more. No, there's 12 because I forgot about the 3 here that are on the Soleil itself. So
Of course, you can cheat by going on a virtual tour.
Yes, yes. Don't tell them that. Okay, but yes, you could cheat by going on our virtual tour. Well, it'd be interesting for them to find out, that you can tour our church virtually.
Oh,
Scott-
I didn't have to be here?
No, you have to
Oh,
be
okay.
here. Okay.
Scott thinks it's the prodigal son.
Oh man, how did he get it so soon? That is what it is. It is the prodigal son. Very good. I thought somebody was going to go into some Old Testament thing, like it was Job, or it was maybe the Isaiah or something like that. But he nailed it right on. Wow. Very, very good. All right.
Although people are asking, like, what, from whiskey to icons? What's going on?
So, we've got to change it up, right? So now what it was is I just ran out of whiskey that I could afford. I mean, I'm not putting $20 bottles of whiskey on the table here. I mean, these are so I had to take a little bit of break so that my wallet could recover, and then at some point we'll return back and we'll pop in some whiskeys of the week.
So when are we turning back for that one?
Yeah.
Although somebody's asking why the veneration of whiskey. It's a fun thing.
It's a fun. Okay. Well, because again, because everything that is provided to us is provided by God. So God gave us the wheat, God gave us the barley, God gave us the hops. He gave us these ingredients.
And gave us the knowledge.
And gave us the knowledge. Well, we had to kind of work that out through through pain and suffering, because I'm sure that those first whiskeys were
we appreciate those people.
Yes.
Yeah.
But once you see the whole whiskey making process, it is truly a divine art. Absolutely. And it's ugadel. It is the water of life, right? Whiskey is ugadel in Gaelic. It's the whiskey of life.
Oh.
The water of life.
Well, okay.
All right, water of
Whiskey of
life.
life.
We have a lot of questions in today.
All right, so let's go ahead and get going
so I'm
here.
reading this one correct.
What's that?
This one here.
We'll start with the top one. Henry Thornton.
Yep, Henry Thornton. Icon question. I'm confused by the color schemes of Jesus and Mary. Since Christ was divine and put on humanity, and Mary was human and put on divinity, I think the colors are reversed.
Okay, so if Demos can move
It's not going to pick up.
it's not going to pick up that.
Lit up.
Okay, so if you see, typically, what's that?
That's Christ.
So I don't know if they can pick that up or not, right? Yeah. Okay.
Oh, cool.
So what you see now is the outer garment that Christ is wearing is the blue, which is the color of humanity. And underneath, you'll see the red color. And the red color signifies then divinity. If you look at icons of the Virgin Mary, you will see that her undergarment, I don't want undergarment in the way.
Well, I know, but it's
right.
under-
But the garment that is underneath is blue, that represents her humanity, and she was then covered by the Holy Spirit, and that was divinity, and then that is red. Okay?
And that's the same in every church.
Same should be the same in every church.
Right.
I think I can understand a lot of people when you see or when you think of the clothing that the Virgin Mary will wear. Most of the time, you see her just in the blue. So I can see why somebody might be confused. Yeah.
Or sometimes you just see the top, like a portrait. So you only see the red, and you don't see the blue underneath. So then that can become confusing. But when she is seen as the whole person, and Christ is seen as the whole person, they always make it a point to show the blue that is underneath, and then her being shrouded or covered by divinity, the red.
Interesting. Okay. Am I reading this one as the next one?
Yeah, just don't
Addressed to you.
read the notes. We brought Alex in here for his interesting stories and his good looks,
Now we're
but
putting him to work.
And now he's putting me to work. Yeah, great. Yeah, this is.
so that's okay. Demos will help you along.
I
on this.
appreciate
No-
it. So it goes, Bible says, hello, Father. Thank you for these sessions. What is the most common Orthodox view on the age of the world?
So let me tell you what it is. Not first. Let's start off with that. We do not take the saying, a day is like a day to God is like 1,000 years. So we have that in the Psalms, right? So we don't take that literally. We take it in the very Jewish sense of the word, that the writers use that to indicate a long time. A day is like 1,000 years. It's like a Greek would exaggerate something. This is going to take us 1,000 years to do. We don't literally mean that, but we mean that it's indicative of a long time. Okay, so we do not believe that the world is 6,000 years old. All right. And we do believe in the science that states that, with the idea of carbon dating, and I know that there's ideas about is carbon dating true and this and that. So we do believe that that certainly the Earth is much older than that, probably in terms of over millions of years old. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So man never lived with dinosaurs.
So we do. So the Orthodox Church does follow the science that the two did not live together at the same time. I know that there's been a couple of people that have said, well, the ark carried baby dinosaurs, and we just, again, we try to look at the practicality of what is being said, and when strong evidence, scientifically based evidence, shows you that this is an impossibility, then the church also respects that science. Now, they're not going to say, okay, science has told us that it's exactly, 650 million years old, but it's old.
It's
And it's older than 6,000.
Plus, we've seen Jurassic Park. We know how well that turns out.
Right. It's always like, what's his name?
Alan Grant, Sam Neill, or
No, not Sam.
Ian Malcolm.
No, jeez.
trying to read his brain. I can't.
Just
Getting the reflection.
the one who was always kind of the skeptic, and he says,
Ian Malcolm.
Oh, what?
Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's all fine until there's the running and the screaming and the dying. Yeah.
So, can I ask a question, or do I?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question, Father.
Oh Lord. Okay.
All right. So every Greek Orthodox church is the same. You walk in, you see Christ on the right. You see some. Virgin Mary
on the
left.
Yes, right.
And you see John the Baptist.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And tell me if this is correct. Every icon that you'll see close to the Virgin Mary is really the name of the saint.
Is the
name of the church.
The name of the church. Absolutely right.
So
that's the event of the Annunciation, and so that's why it's the Annunciation Church. Yes. So if you're ever confused, that's where you go.
Right.
Now, in the Romanian church, those icons are reversed. St. John the Baptist is over there, and the icon is over here.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of.
Now, was that because back in the day they were literate towards? They didn't read a lot. And it was something that,
Right. Reading was not a common idea, and pictures and songs, hymns, were the way to learn the theology. You're absolutely right. Yep.
Oh, see, you do learn things on this show.
We'll see.
Why do you think I come here? Okay, I'm trying to see which. That one.
Good. Start reading it, and Demos will correct you if you're wrong.
Can you explain the Orthodox position on the eternity of marriage?
So and what we're meaning there is when does marriage end? Okay. So is there
Second part to that question?
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Yes, there is. I'm sorry. Thank you. Appreciate that. My understanding was that marriage is eternal, but what about Jesus? In heaven there is no marriage or giving in marriage. And is there a third question?
It's the third part, yeah.
Okay. If he is just talking about new marriages, then whose wife shall the lady who married 7 be?
So at the end of this can be a confusing point, because at the end of the marriage, at the Orthodox marriage service, normally speaking, the priest will take the Bible and he'll say, the couple will be holding hands throughout the service, and then he will take the Bible and he will bring it down and split their hands and say, what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Let no man split that. So that there is the idea that there is not marriage in heaven. All right. So that is an Orthodox Orthodox idea. But the idea of the love that we have between Presbyterian and myself, that love will continue in a perfected form. But there is not the need for marriage in eternity, because we have now that perfect love, or we are attaining that perfect love. So in that sense, and again, so that lustful component is removed now, and what it is
Pure
that
love.
pure that pure divine sense of love, that sanctified love. Okay.
Oh wow.
Real quick, Merzik3 had a question. What kind of lens and camera is used for the series?
Yep. Sorry.
Oh well,
Ones that work.
that's right. Ones that show off our beauty.
That's right.
For this series, at the moment we have we're using a Logitech C920. We're about to upgrade that but for all the other shows that we do for this channel, we use a myriad of different cameras and lenses. The majority of the 101s in the virtual Sunday schools, we use a Canon 80D with which we use about 4 or 5 different lenses for. My personal favorite lens on that is the Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter. We also use GoPros, and we're about to install PTZ cameras, PTZ broadcast cameras in the church. So we use a few different kinds of cameras.
Yeah.
But for this one specifically, we at the moment we're using the Logitech C920, which is a very popular camera for podcasts and YouTube shows of this ilk.
Yeah. Sometimes it has filters. It makes us look good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad he answered that question
Yeah,
because
'cause
I don't know what he just said.
yeah.
So. This is why I have a producer.
That's right.
Because I'm not about to do this.
I have a question by Gigi. Do you go straight to heaven when you die?
No. No, you. Okay, that's a pretty easy one. No, you don't, because everybody awaits final judgment.
That's right.
Everybody awaits the second coming, and then what is the final judgment? Now, again, the $1 million question is: am I awake? Am I asleep? Is it Sheol? Is it a place of sleep? What am I active? Can my father and Terry's father, who have passed away, can they be active in our lives? This is the ongoing question about whether or not that can be true. But at least what the Orthodox will say is that when you die, you will receive a foretaste of both heaven and hell, but you will not be judged until final coming. This is why the 3-day, the 9-day, and the 40-day memorial are so important to the Orthodox faith, because that is time of intense prayer that my Father be granted the kingdom of heaven, because we don't know. You can't ever say he went to heaven, she went to hell. The Orthodox would never say that because that's mind to God stuff. We don't know.
But we pray to.
But we pray for that intercession that soul will be judged, so that they can access heaven. Okay, the Orthodox don't believe in indulgences. You can't pay your way, for the dead. We don't have any of that, and we also do not have the theology of purgatory, meaning that when you die, you can go through this third state, which is heaven, hell, purgatory, the 3 Catholic states. So we don't believe that you will be purified. That you will go through this purification process. The Catholic Church does have some ideas about and biblical and scriptural evidence that they support that purgatory with, but we have not. We do not follow that theology.
Okay.
But that was an easy question to answer in the beginning. No. Sorry.
I have from John Kennedy. The Holy Spirit is known as the. Paraslate?
Oh, Paraclete.
Paraclete, thank you.
Paracletico.
Comforter and more. Why are certain virtues or qualities associated with a person of the Trinity if the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are omnipotent?
So read that. So I'm
Yeah,
trying to
you
make
can read that.
I'm trying to read the connection. The Holy Spirit, known as the Paraclete, the Comforter, and more. Why are certain virtues or qualities associated with a person of the Trinity? Okay. And this applies in general. And again, I always quote Saint Basil. Saint Basil said that we, through the poverty of human language, cannot express divine things. The divine language is not the human language, right? You know, you can't say that God is a person with arms and legs and everything like that. We don't know how to describe him, but we have to say something. So St. Basil says that the words that we use are not divine, but they are the best that we can do with our language. Okay, so we have to say something about the Holy Spirit. Okay, we don't know what the Holy Spirit is, but we can say, at least from the words of Jesus, that I have gone, but I will send you someone that will provide you comfort. Okay, so they had to put some word down. Okay, Greek, Italian, Latin, whatever it is. They are, according to St. Basil, they are the poverty of those languages don't allow us to speak a divine thing. So we have to say something. So the closest thing we can do is use these anthropomorphic ideas of comfort, of love, of compassion to express that idea. But we understand that they fall short of the glory of what the Trinity truly is.
That's interesting. Okay. And I have, will we have free will in heaven?
So, at least from an Orthodox perspective, we will never lose our free will. But the difference will be, as with the person of Jesus Christ, he can only have, even though he has two wills, right? Theologically speaking, he has two wills, he has two natures. That one will, he cannot direct himself against his Father.
Right.
Right. Okay,
Yeah, yes.
so it is impossible for him to not do the will of his Father. Now, in his humanity came out and said, if you can take this cup from me, but thine will be done. So that's where we have the problem with Adam and Eve, because Adam and Eve, with their free will, chose to do something that was not what God asked them to do. He said, do not eat of this tree, and so they exercised their free will and they ate from that tree. Okay,
Yeah.
But before the tempting, before the accuser, Satan we would call, everything that they did only pointed towards God. That's the only direction that they could look. So when we die, we don't lose our free will, but that free will now is perfectly aligned with God the Father.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to read ahead of these questions.
We have Trench up next.
Okay.
He has a number of questions. We'll try and answer as many, but we want to open the floor up for people who haven't had the chance to ask too many. But this is an interesting one.
Yeah, which one do you want to?
We'll start with number one.
Okay.
See if I'm prepared.
If I mess this up, apologize. But one U.S. legislation to hold Turkey accountable for violating the religious freedoms of the...
Ecumenical.
Thank you.
Patriarch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, Patriarch. Orthodox policies are influenced by non-Orthodox, which conflicts with the faith. Agree? You gonna read it?
I mean, there's always going to be a conflict between those who are Orthodox and those who are not Orthodox. Okay, there is a conflict between us and the Catholics. There's a conflict between us and the Protestants. There's a conflict between us and atheists. Okay, so what he's saying is not surprising, you know. So there are secularists, and there are also elements within Turkey that do not wish the Patriarchate to be there. Okay, and especially now that they have moved away from the Ataturk government, which was secular, and are now moving to a much more religious style government, it is in conflict with who we are. Okay, so that state of conflict will exist. So there's not really anything more to say on that point other than Orthodox will have conflicts with non-Orthodox, and it's not limited to the Turks. It's the Protestants, it's the Catholics.
Yes.
It's
I think we had something similar in Egypt, didn't we? When the uprising was happening in Egypt.
yeah, the spring,
had
the spring,
spring uprising.
yeah,
Arab
right,
Spring?
Arab
Arab
Spring,
Spring, thank you, yes.
the Arab Spring,
Yeah.
right. So Okay, and then part two.
Part two. If every priest is equal and the patriarch is equal, then your views, if they differ, wouldn't it be just as valid as his? If anything's yours is more, since as stated in last questions. Okay.
All right, so the first part of that is not true. Read the first part again, just the first part.
If every priest is equal and the patriarch is equal.
Okay, so we have to stop there. Priests are not equal to bishops.
bishops, right.
Priests are not equal to bishops. When you are ordained as a deacon or a priest, you can only be ordained by a bishop. Part of that ordination requires, and you say it out loud in the church, that I will be obedient to the Orthodox faith and to my hierarch.
Oh.
Okay, so you don't have an opinion. It's like being a soldier,
right.
Okay? You don't have an opinion. What you have is what the church tells you, and either you believe what the church tells you or you don't believe it. Okay, what the priest exercises is economia in the application of that. Okay, for example, okay, you are not allowed to receive communion if you arrive after the reading of the gospel. That's canon law. You arrive after the gospel, you don't receive Holy Communion because you have not heard the word. Okay, you have not participated. Okay,
that's why I keep getting in trouble.
All right. Okay, so in that sense, I, as the priest, have the right under the church's guidelines that I can refuse you communion. Okay, but I also, as the priest, have the economia to say that it was tough. I know you personally, your kids, you're stuck in traffic. You know, I can take those things into account. But no priest is allowed to have their personal opinion in the church. Now, I can go to coffee hour and you and I are going to talk about all politics and everything like that, and I can be as personal as I want, all right? But the minute that I put on those vestments and I stand on this solea, if anything that comes out of my mouth is not Orthodox doctrine, then I should be removed. It is, I mean, and again, I'm stating that because, you know, once a soldier, always a soldier, you know? You put on that uniform, you do what the country tells you to do. You do what your commanding officer says, okay? But the difference is that I can use my discretion in terms of economia.
Well, when I go to church, I go because I want to hear the gospel. I want to hear what goes on. I don't want to hear about political stuff.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And we've said this many times on the program, is that's one of the things that the Orthodox Church, you know, has against many non-denominational preachers, is they will talk about their personal opinions in church, and we find that revolting.
Yeah.
Separation of church and state.
No. There is no separation of church and state. Demos is he's poking the bear. I can see what he's doing. All right.
Another question from John Kennedy. What does the church believe about St. Thomas Aquinas? Does the church accept his teachings and his theology? St. Thomas Aquinas.
St. Thomas Aquinas is recognized in the Catholic Church as one of the theologians of the Catholic Church. He's not necessarily recognized or has that status in the Orthodox Church.
But you know of him.
But we certainly know of him. And again, there was in school we had a bit, you know, we didn't study Thomas Aquinas, but we studied some of those Catholic saints, certainly like Ambrose, Tertullian, St. Augustine. And some of those theologies that came out from them was rejected by the Orthodox Church, such as definitions of hell, purgatory, original sin. Those were rejected. It's interesting because I believe it was Thomas Aquinas that said, and if at the end of his life said, and if I have said anything heretical against God, I wish that all my writings be burned. So I'd have to go back and research because I don't want to talk off the top of my head specifically what we problems and issues we have with Thomas Aquinas. Generally speaking, almost all of the great holy fathers of the church, we do not agree with everything that they have said. There are certain, we felt that St. John Chrysostom was anti-Semitic in the beginnings. Origen said that Satan himself can be saved. St. Augustine talked about original sin. So as much as we respect the Holy Fathers, many things that they said, we also know that the Holy Fathers are human and they are imperfect, and they have said things that are not Orthodox theology, and that holds with Thomas Aquinas. Not everything he wrote is against Orthodoxy. But we don't hold him in the status of a theologian of the church.
Just a quick question then. Do we, because obviously we have old Greek, old Orthodox, old calendar.
Old calendar, right.
And don't we have some saints the same? Or do we
With the
recognize-
Catholic Church?
With the old calendar.
Oh, absolutely. The old calendar recognizes the three hierarchs.
I was going to say,
Right.
okay.
They
yeah.
recognize St. George, St. Demetrius. Those are saints. Well, yeah, saints, but certainly teachers of the church, the old calendar recognizes. And typically, any saint before the schism, both churches, the Orthodox and the Orthodox and the Catholic Church have in common. St. Patrick of Ireland, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We have him
We
as
have
a
him,
saint
yeah.
because he was pre.
That's right, yeah. And England, to my knowledge, used to be, before it became a Catholic, was Orthodox.
Yes, because the monks fled the Turkish occupation, and they actually went into Scotland.
Oh, is it Scotland?
Scotland.
Okay.
That's why the monastery was built on Iona. So Saint Columba built his monastery on Iona in the 3rd or 4th century, 4th or 5th century.
Okay.
Okay. So it was actually Scotland, which is now the UK, much to the chagrin of many Scots.
Yes, I know. But we still have the St. George's cross on our flag.
Yes, you do. Right.
St. Andrews, I apologize. St. George's and St. Andrews.
And Saint Andrews.
Yes.
Right.
Scottish version, so.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. And the schism, I don't know, your listeners probably know this, but the schism is...
The separation of the
Roman.
Orthodox Church, the Orthodox Church excommunicates the Catholic Church. At the same time, the Catholic Church excommunicates. We did it at the same time.
Got it. Oh.
Yeah, that's something they have in common.
What's that?
That's
Yes.
yeah.
We
Yes.
both kicked each other
Yeah.
out. Get out of
Same
here.
time. Look at that. Okay. Okay, next question. Okay, we have a part 3.
Is that Trench's
That's
part?
French, but he has a question about Cyprus.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
this one's okay. What do you think of Neophytos, the Bishop of Montfort, from Cyprus, North Part, has a big following online. Also, was it improper for the Archbishop of Athens to want the bishop restricted from speaking online?
So again, that second part, to speak on whether it was proper for a cleric, especially a bishop, to do something is outside the realm of what we should be talking about. We cannot, we cannot make any kind of judgments on that, not knowing the situation.
Yeah, we can't. That would be speculative.
That'd be speculative,
Yeah.
and that is certainly outside of our purview.
There isn't a question, but we have a statement. Please pray for me. I am starting a new job tomorrow. That's Gigi. Good luck.
Good luck. Not good luck. May she be blessed that she receives
Or he.
what he.
I don't know.
yes,
he or
Gigi,
she.
that's right,
Oh, Gigi.
yeah, Gigi,
Gigi.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
all
right,
right.
that's right.
Okay, that they receive what is God's plan for them, because again, personal experience. I have prayed for a particular job and I did not get that job, but I got another job. And looking back, it's a good thing that I didn't get the first job. So again, never pray for what you think you want. Pray
the
that
guidance.
God gives you the guidance and that you will obey what his will is. And if you didn't get the job, there is a reason for that. You weren't qualified for the job was not right for you, the job would have taken you to a place that would have separated you from a community. There are a number of reasons, but you pray for what is God's will for you. That is Orthodox.
So we'll pray for God's will.
Yes, exactly. For GT.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
But I appreciate that they write things like that because we should pray.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's awesome. So, good luck. It should be what God's will is for you.
You and the luck. What is it with
don't
luck?
know. It's
God's
a Cypriot
blessing.
thing. It's
God's
English
blessing.
thing. It's God's blessing.
Oh man, I gotta be tough on people. I gotta get rid of luck. Luck. We don't believe in luck.
Good luck getting rid of the book.
I'm just gonna move on.
Jeez. Well, you wanted to learn, didn't you? All right.
How does one obtain salvation? This is from Martial Magic.
How does one obtain salvation? Well,
maybe
okay. No. By not using the word luck. All right, that's how you obtain salvation. Now, generally, how do we obtain salvation? Through belief in Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. By doing the will of God the Father and by listening to the guidance of the Holy Spirit, right? Everything, at least in Orthodoxy, has to be a Trinitarian act. So those people that say, believe in Jesus alone. Okay, what happened to the Father and the Holy Spirit? Right. Jesus never acts alone. So salvation comes from belief that Jesus Christ died for our sins and that he will lead us to, and that he has redeemed us and as we have said in previous videos, opened the bridge or rebuilt the bridge between heaven and earth that grants us salvation. But we must be attentive to the will of the Father. Just because I believe in Jesus, but I don't follow the will of the Father, that's not salvation. Equally so, Jesus Christ himself said, I have sent you the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, to help and guide you. Okay? And that is part of our conscience. If you do things that are against what is the guidance of the Holy Spirit, then that is not salvation either. I believe in Jesus Christ, but I'm going to abuse my wife.
So you're only picking which one.
Yeah, you're picking and choosing. This is not true. If you are not acting in a Trinitarian manner, you are not Christian. Bottom line.
Oh, that was straightforward.
So, but that's a really great question.
I agree.
Yeah.
I have a third one from Trench. How much money donated to the church given to the ecumenical patriarch? One priest said 500,000 to stay open. Oh, okay. Is this for every Greek Orthodox church?
No, typically, and this is voted at our clergy laity. So for those that don't know, is every 2 years, the Archdiocese of America has a clergy laity conference. This is where all the clergy of the church, including the bishops, and the senior leadership of the parishes, right? This would be your president of your parish council, again, your vice president, treasurer, but those executive board members, together with the clergy of the church, meet together, and items are brought up for votes. And this is where you present. This is your opportunity as laity to make a difference. Because you will bring it up and say, we don't think that this is right. Those things are decided at the clergy laity conferences. Okay, at one of the clergy laity conferences, it was voted to raise the archdiocese commitment to the patriarchate from $1 to $2 million. Okay, to use in the work of the ecumenical patriarch. All right. And that was passed by the clergy and the laity. So those people that say, we're spending too much money, we're sending too much money to the patriarchate. My answer to that as clergy is, where were you at the clergy laity when we voted on this? Yeah. Right. They voted at that clergy laity, and they increased the amount. So I don't want to hear it. If you don't vote, then you don't deserve. Then you don't have a say. You don't have a say. There you go. So, but the Archdiocese of America gives us that opportunity for the clergy and the laity to participate and vote on these actions. We don't just blindly go in and do whatever we want to do.
It's not like we're loaded.
Yeah, well, yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I agree.
We have a quick clarification on one of the earlier questions from Trench. The question about the ranking earlier.
Yes.
He says that he found online, sacramentally, all priests are equal. However, they are ranked and served by seniority according to the date of their ordination.
Okay, yeah, yeah, but they are not. But then he said that in the patriarch, and they are equal. But so I thought he was saying that all clergy is equal, and that is not true. But he's right. All classes are equal. All deacons are equal. All priests are equal. All bishops are equal.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good clarification.
I have a question. There's a question here.
You don't. It's a
Sorry.
question.
Okay. Cyprus is a beautiful country. Thank you. Well, Aphrodite.
Did you have Terry submit that question on your behalf?
So, yeah. And I visited the Gigos monastery early AM before the tourists arrived. Do either of you know the story of the Theotokos icon, which remains covered?
Do you?
Yeah, I think it's only uncovered once a year.
Yeah, because I don't know that story.
There is Gordon Bennett. It's okay. They cover it because I think I learned this at Greek school, which is many moons ago. Because the devastation, or in a sense, she cried,
Okay.
and so they covered it. So
Now this is devastation that happened in Cyprus.
no, with the son Jesus.
Oh yes. Okay. All right.
And so they cover it for that purpose. But they do unravel it once a year, because I know the monastery you're talking about, and it is very pretty up there, very pretty. But yeah, I'd have to look that up.
Okay. All
I
right.
have to really look that up. That's a great. Thanks. That's
We'll
good.
have to take the show on the road to Cyprus.
To Cyprus.
Yeah,
right.
we'll
right.
have to, yes.
Okay. And then Alex will show us
And
around.
I'll show you around because I speak the lingo.
That's right. Take it for some chefs. Yes. And
But yeah, I
You think I'm joking?
will take my private jet. I just got to put the pedals in there. But no, I know there is an icon. See, when I was a kid, they mentioned something about her weeping,
okay. All right.
and so they covered it. But that's the only thing I know. There is another icon, I believe. The story is that they covered is because it was stolen. Some thieves broke into the church. They stole it. They took it away, and bad things kept happening.
All right. If we have some Cypriots out there,
Yeah, that'd be-
from Cyprus that can tell us a little bit more, that'd be okay.
That'd be cool. So, and then because so many things were happening, they actually returned it to the church.
Oh, okay. All
And
right.
so, yeah, so the thieves, in a sense, had a better life. But
Diane says that the icon was hidden and saved after 70 years.
who's that?
Yeah. Well, we'll look into it and we'll get into more detail
I'll
next
I'll
week.
Okay.
send you an email. I'll
If
find
and
out.
we can avoid banging on the table.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. All right.
You.
Yes, me. It is. Even with this,
There's a lot of petty here.
well, no, because a listener from the church, a listener actually bought this for us.
Oh,
You know, and so
wow.
because I was banging on the table so much, and they felt bad for demons. So yes,
Poor guy.
That was
That is-
not an invitation to bang harder.
yes. This was for his salvation.
Okay. Oh, you got a few questions. This is awesome. Okay. One from Trench. In Greece, the price of candles to light is what you want to give. If one does not have much money, in the US, it is a flat free. It's
Flat fee.
flat. I think it's supposed to
Yeah,
be flat fee.
flat fee.
It seems. Or can a person give what they want as also or two?
Every church in the world, every
Give what
Orthodox
you-
church in the world will allow you to take a candle for free.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, so
I agree
we
there.
do have, but you got to give people a suggested price, right? I mean, it is what it is. Candles have been $1 since my mom was a kid. In America, they just never change. You cannot charge more than $1 for
Yeah,
that
it
candle.
was
I mean,
£1, yeah.
it is what it is.
It was just a standard
A
overall
standard
thing.
overall
We would give,
price.
10p, something like that, 50p.
But
Basically
yeah.
what you give, but
So, but now, I mean, the dollar is the standard. But you know what? I mean, I know the people both in all three of my parishes. Nobody has who stands behind the bangari there, the candle stand, has ever said to anybody, "I'm sorry, but you can't have a candle." That is just absolutely out of the question. Because you know what, that person that can't give, the next person that comes in line, they put a 20 in and they take a candle out. So we're always covered. So yeah, but we have to say something. So we say $1.
And that's the reason.
That's the reason.
There was a quick story. I remember I went to church and my mum gave me 50p to put in for the candle, and they ran out. So I sat there and I was looking, and
You wanted your 50p back.
the guy went, "It's okay, I have one for you," and he gave me a christening candle.
That's like a
Standing
huge,
in church with his big
with
christening.
big bother there. Okay. Oh, good.
So it really didn't matter. 50p got me
Good investment.
Okay, I got from Sodiris Dragos. Hi, Father. Can you provide biblical references for the soul reposes of opposed to giving to heaven, hell, right after death? Okay, you're gonna have to translate that one.
Okay. I know who this is too.
Okay.
Well, we know who this is. Okay. Where is okay? Hi, Father. Can you provide biblical reference for that the soul reposes?
Opposed to giving to heaven, and hell, right after death.
Okay, and the answer to that, unfortunately, is that there is no direct scriptural evidence about what happens after we die. There is allusion to that, but there is really no direct scriptural evidence. There is, and so what I have to do is I have to look into what are those scriptural references that we base it on, but there is nothing in Scripture that talks about what happens to the soul after it reposes. Okay. Jesus always spoke about being attentive, that you will join me in heaven, follow the commandments, but he didn't go into any kind of detail about what happens. All right. Even St. Paul, although he got closer and made some and spoke about it, St. Paul is not Jesus, okay?
Correct.
And he's not God the Father, all right? So in that sense, but I know that there are some scriptural references that we base it on, but I just don't have it right off the top of my head. And since Sam asked that question, I know that he asked me a couple of questions, and I have to make a correction here. I had said on the program that the Catholic Church had abandoned the theology of purgatory. What they have abandoned is the theology of limbo. So that was my fault.
That's my favorite party game.
Is limbo? Yeah. But no, they have. But they do maintain it in the in Articles 1030 and 1031 of the Catholic Catechism, that there is a purification that will occur, and that there is 3 states: heaven, hell, and purgatory. The Orthodox Church has the Orthodox Church has rejected purgatory. Okay. But in that same Article 1030 and 1031, that also talks about the importance and efficacy of prayers for the dead, and the Orthodox Church obviously does believe in that part of that catechism. But
What's the difference between limbo and purgatory?
so limbo, so in the Catholic Church, everybody will go through purification for their sins so that they can attain the kingdom of heaven. So for the Orthodox Church, the answer is, if everybody is going to be purified, okay, then everybody is saved. All right. Limbo was a place for the unbaptized.
Trench mentions that where he lives, or he or she lives, it's $2 for candles there.
It just depends on the location.
Yeah.
As I said, in England, it was £1, which would have been $2 here.
Would have been, yeah, right, about $2.
You know,
Okay.
and so it really depends on where you live. If you live in North London, you know, there's a lot more Greeks, there's a lot more money going around.
Sure, right. But if you go to a parish in the hinterlands, right? I mean, kind of, like you said,
because at the end of the day, they still have to buy the candles.
right?
You know, there's not many churches that make their own candles anymore. So
And again, the church is,
it all goes.
and even for our church, I mean, we're not surviving off of candle money. I mean, so it's just it's a service that we provide that's important.
and it goes back. That's the whole
right.
whole thing. So, I have a question from Trench again. Why doesn't Greek Orthodox Church be more like the American Orthodox Church to not charge for sacraments if the person cannot pay?
There is
Which
no
they say-
Orthodox church that charges for sacraments. Period. There's no. There is. Let me repeat that. There is no Orthodox church that charges for sacraments. That's called simony. That's the heresy of simony. It was after one of the named after Simon in the New Testament in Acts, where he was actually charging for performing of the sacraments. Okay, so they call it simony. All right, but any priest that is caught, in fact, it is in the canons of the church, any priest that is caught, or bishop, that is caught charging for a sacrament will be defrocked, period. They will be excommunicated from the church. Now, most Greeks will offer a tihiro. You know, tihiro is like not a tip, but it's kind of like a tip, okay? You know,
It's like a tip, yeah.
yeah, it's like a tip. It's like katitihi, like an honorary. Okay. For performing that, they'll just say, "Father, here you go. Here's something." Okay. Now, priests can accept that. All right. Now, you can also say, "I'm sorry, but I don't take it." It's kind of an insult to the family. It's something they want to do.
Yeah.
They donate it to you because you came and you performed that.
Yeah.
They're not paying for the sacrament. They're offering you for your time. Yeah. Okay. What most priests will do with that is they will use that for their poverty fund. Mm-hmm. So that's exactly what I do. I have that money. People come to the door, or we want to donate something. I'll just use that money. So the money goes back. So in fact, I see it as important to accept that, one, to not be insulting, and then number two, that I can do good with that money. All right.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't a necessity.
But to accuse the Greek Orthodox Church as opposed to the American Orthodox Church, which is OCA, and say that we take money, I find that insulting. I mean, there is no basis for that at all. Now, again, if there are priests who are charging for sacraments, they are committing the heresy of simony, and they should, or they, according to the canons of the church, should be excommunicated.
No, find my space here. Hold on. Okay. Many priests say heaven and hell is the same place. Is this an official stance?
No. Heaven and hell are not the same place. I hope not. Right?
Well, technically, one's opposite than the other.
Okay.
Right?
No, I mean, okay.
But yeah.
So, but I guess what I can interpret from that is one person's heaven is another person's hell, right? Okay? I mean, but again, that's not Orthodox theology either, okay? These are two separate places, okay, that you choose to put yourself in. God does not assign you to these places. He judges you, but you make the decision about whether you want to be in his presence, heaven, or you don't want to be in his presence, hell. That's your action of free will. That's why we say free will's a bitch.
Okay, question from Lila. Did I say that right? I'm not sure if the question has been answered already, but I feel like it has already been. But is interracial marriage frowned? Thank you. Upon in Orthodox Church? I get nervous sometimes when I go to church.
No,
you shouldn't be nervous.
No, absolutely not. I mean, we certainly have it in this parish here, right? What we cannot do is interfaith marriage. Yes. There's nothing in the Orthodox Church canons that talk about denial of a sacrament because of your race or your ethnicity. And so no,
so
absolutely.
I've got close friends that have interracial marriage, intercultural marriage, but yes, it's the religious side.
Right. It's interfaith, meaning Orthodox with Muslim, Orthodox with Jewish, Orthodox with atheist. Yes. That's where the church has an issue.
So, Trench, once again, thank you for all your questions. But for the moment, we're going to move on to some questions from people who haven't had the chance to ask. And when we have time, we'll come back to yours. So while you find your spot, I'm gonna go all the way down to always being Bell. And this is a question that we've gotten a lot of whispered questions. So I thought we would tackle it now.
This one's for you, though.
I've not taken the COVID vaccine yet, says Always Being Bell. Is it evil or a blessing? I've asked my Orthodox priest, but he told me to pray and didn't tell me what to do either way, but understood my concerns. Any advice? It's a very touchy subject right now.
It is. Okay. I'm vaccinated. President is vaccinated.
I'm vaccinated.
Okay? All right. So the Orthodox Church has no opposition to science.
No.
Okay. All right. So the Orthodox Church's stand on that is that you have the free will to decide what is proper for you and your family. Okay? The Orthodox Church can say that we as the church do not in any way see the vaccine as evil, right? I mean, you take flu vaccines, right? Okay, the H1N1, right? All the vaccines, right? You take the HIV shot, and all of those. We've taken polio, we've taken vaccines throughout our entire life, and the Orthodox Church has never said, don't take the vaccine. All right.
Well, that's almost like a political view too.
Okay, so it's become right. It's unfortunately become clouded and corrupted by politics now. But the Orthodox Church's stance on that is, if for some reason you are uncomfortable from a scientific perspective, you don't feel it's been tested enough, you don't feel that it hasn't had enough trials done yet. Okay, those are valid arguments, and you can say, I'm going to wait until, all right? But for myself and for Terry, we felt that it had gone through the number of trials it needed to go through. We see it as every other vaccine that we have ever taken in our lives, and we have taken it. Okay. But there's nothing evil, any Orthodox priest that tells you that it's the sign of the beast, the mark of the beast, or it's evil or anything like that, then I want them to explain to me then, why is this vaccine the mark of the beast, but the H1N1 and the flu vaccine and polio are not the mark of the beast, okay? So let's not speak out of ignorance.
I really would like to throw out, especially with anything including a medical procedure, that when it comes to this, you definitely need to talk to your doctor.
Oh, yes, that's an absolute, and that, because there are certain situations where the vaccine is not appropriate for you, and the Orthodox Church would tell you, listen to your doctor, right? Okay,
that's right.
But as far as making this decision based on whether it's evil or not, I think that there's absolutely no grounds for that.
Yeah.
So I know I just jumped around on you.
No, yeah, that's okay.
So I'm just
Go
gonna
right ahead, Demos. It's okay.
I'm just gonna jump ahead to something that I saw. Diane asked, "Do you only confess a sin once?"
Who, me?
Yeah, you specifically.
All right.
Well, I try and confess a sin as minimum as I can, but I'm only human.
All right. So
No. Wow.
So tell us more about your sins, please.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
yes.
Yeah. How long do we have? It is. We're only human, so we're imperfect. There's only one perfect person that walked this earth, and you know who that is, right?
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. And if you, but for me, I did something, and I needed to speak to the priest about, and there is a procedure that you go through, and I gotta say,
the sacrament of confession.
and I gotta say, it is very humbling. Very, it's at the end, it's amazing. You feel like a weight off your shoulders. But I don't want to keep committing any sins, if that makes sense. So, yeah. So just personally, I'd keep it to a minimum.
So it's actually a two-part answer. All right.
Okay.
So
Mine was not any other part.
now, now, once you have confessed your sins, all right, then the prayer of absolution will be read. The last line of the absolution prayer is, "As for the sins that you have confessed, have no further anxiety about them and go in peace." It is a sin to retain your sin, meaning to keep saying, I've not been forgiven, it's a sin, I got to confess it again and again. It is a sin to do that because the priest has said, have no further anxiety. Now, if you go out and you commit the same sin again, then this is done after the confession. So you have committed that sin again, so you would then confess that sin. Okay? Now, here is where the Orthodox policy or the Orthodox theology of, that's a better word, theology of confession has a counseling aspect to it, or has a spiritual growth component to it. So if, Alex, you come to me and you say, Father, in a drunken rage, I beat up my wife. Okay, I read we talk about it, and you say, I just can't believe that I did this, and it's been weighing heavy on my heart. I read the prayer and I say, have no further anxiety. Okay, but I'm also going to tell you, hey, you know that this is wrong, right? You shouldn't do this. Yes. Okay. A month later, you come back to me and you say, I got drunk, I beat my wife up. Okay. All right. Now I'm seeing a pattern. I have an obligation to you as a counselor, now as a pastor, right? Not as a priest, because the priest does the absolution. The pastor, right, now says, Alex, you got a problem here. Okay, that's going to be an outtake. Alex, you've got a problem here. All right.
No, but yes, I agree. Yeah.
Okay, and so you have committed a new sin, right? Okay,
Yes.
so you need to also be forgiven for that sin, but in the Orthodox Church, that confession now requires me to take the next step and say, you know what? I think you need counseling. If it happens now a third time, now I may have to go to the wife and say, now not to break the bonds of confession, break the bonds of confession, but to talk with her and say, are you okay? Is everything okay? And then she says, I'm very scared of Alex. I don't want to be around. Okay, then I have an obligation to help her. I haven't said, hey, this is what your husband told me.
Right,
are you
right.
okay? She says, fine, there's nothing wrong. There's not a lot that I can do, but I would continue to help her and to work on you at the same time. So in that sense, there's kind of two answers here. Number one, you do not confess a sin again. But if you if you do it as a new sin, yes, it needs to be confessed again.
Great.
Real quick, Yannis has a question I definitely want to make sure that we get to tonight. Yanni says, I want to have a Catholic wedding.
Yes.
My girl is Roman Catholic.
Yes.
Will the Catholic Church accept my Orthodox ecclesiastic divorce from my previous wedding?
So, normally speaking, the answer to that question is yes, that we recognize the sacraments of not only marriage between the two churches, but we also recognize the dissolution of those. Okay. Yeah. Because we have the same we have the same criteria, adultery, abandonment, lying, things like that. Okay. Now, again, the only difference, really, when you get down to brass tacks, the only difference is that in the Catholic Church, spiritual court, the granting of the divorce is based on finding out if the sin was present before the marriage.
Okay.
In the Orthodox Church, all we need to know is that the sin is currently present. Okay, so if it was adultery, it's easy for the Orthodox Church. They committed adultery, It's a done deal.
Yep.
All right, so we grant to the
okay.
other partner. In the Catholic Church, they have to work out, did the idea of adultery actually manifest itself before the wedding actually took place? The Orthodox Church goes, I don't know how you're going to do that. That's
You really,
you really can't. I mean, we feel that you really can't do that.
Yes.
So that's the difference. But yes, I don't see. There is no reason why the Catholic Church should not accept that, and that would be the only grounds that they would not accept it on, because the Orthodox Church has that theological difference in the approach to granting a ecclesiastical divorce.
And one last question, then we'll get back to Trench's questions. Donis, you're you. Asked, what
Adonis. Oh, there's a name for you,
there we
Adonis. I
Yeah.
like that.
what happens when a body is cremated? Is the body's soul beyond salvation? And of course, we did an entire series about cremation, but this is a good question.
Okay. All the Orthodox Church will say is that you are placing yourself in a precarious position. Okay, we cannot say that you are now condemned to hell, but you have placed yourself in a situation that you are now outside of the church. And you have to take your chances, because the church has been very clear on that the committing of cremation is not in accordance with what we feel to be, the Orthodox Church feels to be, what is proper disposition of the image and likeness of God. All right. So I can't say you are now condemned. What I can say is that by doing that, you will place yourself, not that we don't also, but now that you have placed yourself in God's hands, because we as the church have said that this is not what is proper in God's eyes. But we cannot speak for his compassion.
right.
Okay?
Yes. Okay. Because he skipped a few places, so I'm just trying to find the number.
I need to talk a little bit more. All right.
Yeah, you go right ahead. You're very good at it.
Well,
You're very good. I can't hear in this ear, so you're great.
okay, yes. As long as you can't hear me, I know that's great. But we've gotten a lot of I say this a lot, that we get a lot of good questions, but they are getting more theological in nature. So there is this as I like to say, this program really helps to sharpen the sword, so to speak, because there's a lot of questions that I don't have the direct answer to, and I've got to take time and study.
But the best part is also, like, if we run across a question that requires more study or a question that needs to be much more in depth, that it gives us inspiration for our videos.
For our videos, yes, absolutely, right.
Yeah, no, this is neat. This is really cool, I got to say.
All right, cool.
Okay, so Trench, number 8. Can you handle being a priest in Greece in the stricter code of being a priest? How is it they can handle it and the US priest cannot? Should one be more like Christ to be more like them?
So,
Shouldn't one be more like Christ to be more like them?
okay, so I go and I visit you in London, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're hanging out at your pub, right?
Right.
Okay, and you pour it in a glass. This is not how we do it in America.
Right.
Why don't you have Schlitz malt liquor? You have the wrong beers.
You can't.
I don't like all the peanuts on the floor. Where is my free food? Where is this? This is how we do it in America. What do you think that bartender's going to do?
Yeah, there's a door.
Yeah.
In a polite way with a shoe.
Yeah, well, yeah. If it's an Irish pub,
Yeah.
they'll just toss you out on your ear,
yeah,
all right? Okay.
But
Oh,
yes.
So what right do I have to tell that pub owner he's doing it wrong?
Mm-hmm.
He is doing what is in the culture of his country, because all Englishmen who go in that pub know how to behave, they know what the rules are, and they follow the traditions, okay? Just as
Just like
if,
when I came here.
if you come here and you start telling us what to do in our bar, we're not going to call it a pub,
But-
in our bar, we're going to kick you out. Okay. So so to look at priests in this very monolithic way, that a priest in Greece is a priest in Romania, is a priest in Africa, is a priest in America, makes absolutely no sense at all, because we each have our own traditions and customs. Life here in America is not life in the UK.
Correct.
And it is certainly not life in Greece.
Correct. I know it's going to sound weird, but for example, South Africa, when they had the apartheid,
Yeah.
they wouldn't let blacks into a certain area.
Right.
In America, no problem. In
Right.
England, no problem. But once the apartheid was finished, it was
Right. And that's not to say apartheid was right.
correct.
Right. Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree, but it's that understanding
Ending.
of in that time it was that's what they did. Obviously the church, the priest did the sacraments exactly the same and everything else.
Now, in Greece, and let's talk specifically about Greece, in Greece, you have grown up understanding what the church expects of you.
Yes.
Greece is an Orthodox country, okay? America is not. It is not an Orthodox country, okay? You have people coming from all different backgrounds and cultures and everything like that. To apply the rules and traditions of a foreign country, they're going to tell you get lost.
Well,
I don't,
Yeah.
so you have to, and again, this is a fine line. I mean, I understand where Trench is going with this. It is a very fine line, the balance between not giving up all the principles of the Orthodox faith, but at the same time, understanding and operating within what is American
In that
tradition.
parameters, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And yes, they are, and in fact, I've seen this. I've seen them bring priests in from Greece to American parishes. 1 year. That's as long as they last. And then they kick them out. Because it's not because of the language, it's because they cannot assimilate themselves into an American society. And they're gone. It doesn't work.
Well, it's like me when I came over and you guys have coffee hour. We have coffee hour. We go to church, then we leave.
No, when I was in St. Luke's, I had the coffee hour. We had a
you
coffee
did.
hour.
Yeah, we did, but it wasn't as
Oh,
as
yeah,
it is here.
yes, yeah, true. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
And then
yeah.
when I first came here, I sat there and went, "Wait a minute, you guys all go for coffee hour over there? What?
Yeah, right.
It was different, but that's what it is. It's I like it. It's
So,
We have a follow-up clarification from Yannis. He said, they didn't accept my ecclesiastical divorce. They want to run an annulment between myself and my previous Orthodox wife.
yes, that's exactly what I was saying. So the annulment process
what I had.
No, we don't call it an annulment. No, we just call it
the Catholic-
ecclesiastical
yes,
divorce.
that's right.
Okay,
Catholic, yeah.
so what the Catholic Church is saying is that they are not satisfied that the Orthodox Church has found that that particular sin had manifested itself before the marriage. And what they want to do is they want to go through their own process to figure out how that happened. From an Orthodox Church's perspective, we feel that that's bogus. I mean, you're going to create a situation, you're going to invent a situation that will get the annulment. What are you going to do? You're going to say no? I mean, they're going to figure this out. So it's really just kind of a play on words, at least from the Orthodox perspective. Okay, how can you be held accountable for something? I mean, sorry, no, take that back. Not that. That's not what I mean. How can I say that just because I committed an act today means that I've always had it in my mind? How can we say that? I mean, we're different people as we get older, right? The stuff you did and the stuff that I did as a 17-year-old kid, as a 25-year-old kid, as a 30-year-old kid are much different from who we are now.
Correct.
Okay. So to say that existed when I was a 19-year-old kid when I got married, for us, it just makes no sense. So, but that's, I think, what the grounds are, is that one point that I made, because of that difference in terms of where the sin. So that's why we don't have the term annulment, because annulment means that the marriage was never valid from the beginning. We believe the
that's
marriage,
what it is.
that we
Okay.
believe the marriage was valid,
Yes.
but it has died a spiritual death.
Speaking of marriage,
Yeah. Speaking to someone else, this is from Trench. Speaking on someone else, question on marriage. If a person is married to 3 people who they also were married, who are they married to eternally if never divorced? I'll read that back.
That's okay, because all we can do is quote Jesus. Have you never read the scriptures? Do you not understand the scriptures? So even Jesus, he just reduced the number from 7 to 3. It's the same question that the Pharisees asked Jesus,
okay.
and Jesus says, "Do you not know the scriptures?"
I'll skip down to the 10th one. Why does the Greek saying priest child, devil child true at times? One recent one in Greece, how a priest's son that turns to Buddhism that murdered. Does that make sense to you?
Well, I've never heard the priest child and then devil child.
It's a Greek saying. Maybe it'll make more sense if said in the Greek. I mean,
So say that again in
Greek priest child, devil child.
Priest child, devil child. Man, I got to ask somebody about that. I have not. I have not heard about it. You.
I'm sure we'll probably get a clarification in a moment.
Yeah.
We do have a question from Team Angel. Petra Thelis. That is their maiden name.
Okay.
Can you tell me what it means? Much love from Dallas, Texas. Do you know what the name Petra Thelis
Okay,
means?
where are we?
I just jumped down a bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Petra Thelis. Petrathelis.
Oh, is
From
it?
Team Angel Getzo. Have you ever heard that name? I tried looking up the definition myself just now. I couldn't see it.
So
Oh, Team Angel.
yeah.
Oh, I just had it. Oh. No, that's
So if it's the terms that I'm thinking of, is it a name they're saying?
It's the maiden name.
It's a maiden name. So the last one is like Thelis.
Yes. Petrathelis is probably how it's pronounced.
Okay.
Petrathelis.
Oh, there it is.
All right.
There it is. Petrathelis or Petrathilis.
Okay. So Theli is your chest, and Petra is a rock.
Yeah.
Hard chested.
Yeah.
Strong, hard chested.
Ah.
A lot of Greek names are, it's villages, for example. Same thing. They're named after certain things. For example, my dad is called from the village Lithrodonda. Lithra are the pebbles.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Dongia are teeth.
The teeth,
So
right?
it's like teeth like pebbles. They're hard.
They're hot. Okay, all right. So probably somebody in the village was big and burly,
Yeah.
and they said,
just,
Aftoso Petrathilis,
Yeah.
and then
So-
you take that name.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait for clarification on the priest child, devil child, and we'll get back to that next week. We're pretty much at the end of our program
okay.
right now.
Okay.
So I thought we should make the quick announcement. We're taking a 1-week hiatus next week.
Yes, because we're on our special project.
Yeah.
Which is top secret. We can't tell anybody. So
Okay. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell us.
Let's just say it's going to be really, it'll blow you guys away when, once we get back and I have time to edit it.
Yeah, I'll be great.
But we will be returning the week following.
The week following, right.
So the 3-hour no.
Yeah, well,
So that would be after the 4th of July?
Yes.
Okay, just for the people know.
yeah, right.
Yeah, right after the 4th of July.
Nice. That's the American holiday for the independence from,
From you guys.
yeah. From us.
Darn colonists. Lee, dude. We have Acorn now. We watch the Acorn channel, which is all the British shows.
Oh, yes,
okay.
that's right, yeah,
and
it's
all
a new
the
one.
and all the British shows are always making fun of the Americans. Yank. So one of the Yanks from over there.
Yeah.
So they're always making fun of us. So we're just the stepchild that misbehaved.
Yeah.
Couldn't get under control. So now
Yeah, don't worry. I've got a British flag for you. So, but
All
it
right.
is fun.
It's just because because of your accent, anything you say just sounds like it's correct, no matter what. That's the
So in
problem.
a sense, Yeah, I can't answer these questions.
See,
I
that's
come to you.
oh, so that was one of the other great parts of hearing the liturgy in the UK. Because, and again, not that my accent is the greatest, but you know the opening prayer of "Let us pray to the Lord." To hear that, it's just like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. So anytime you hear Bishop Callistos Ware, who is from Oxford, right? He's straight out of England, and he'll do that whole liturgy with that very stiff upper lip British. It's got a unique quality to it. I love it. So, but
I do want to point out real quick. I know this is stereotypical, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. His favorite movies are the James Bond movies.
I do know that.
So, what's your favorite Bond movie?
Oh, okay. I cannot remember the title, but it's the one where Sean Connery drives the car and he goes over that bridge
And it spins.
and it spins in the air. And
That's
lands.
Roger Moore, the man
Oh,
with the
Roger
golden
Moore, that's
gun.
it. Yeah.
Oh, is that
the man with the golden gun? That's it. Yep.
That was a
That's
real stunt. They actually had to. They had computer engineers out there just calculating specifically how fast and at what angle they needed to do. They needed to set up to achieve that
And
stunt.
it was Roger Moore because he also had the Lotus that went under.
Went
under the
underwater.
thing.
Yeah.
Very next film, Spider
Yeah.
Love Me. Yeah,
Spy That Loved Me.
so that was an actual stunt.
that was real.
Yeah, it was real.
destroyed by the slide whistle sound effect.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
That was terrible.
But that was the earliest film I saw, and
Cool.
but
So
I'm not a big fan as Father here.
I'm all about James Bond.
That's
So,
okay.
Alex, thank you very, very much for being part of this show. I really appreciate that. And again, if you have a chance to check it out, it's all Greek to me.
It's All Greek to Me podcast. You can listen to it on any platform, or you can go to your smart speaker and just ask it to play It's All Greek to Me podcast. And you'll hear the interviews I've had and some of the stories and some Greek music.
In fact, are the couple of interviews that we had, is that still
No,
on
I've got
there?
to upload them.
Oh, okay. All right.
The reason being is it became a podcast very recently. Before it was a SoundCloud. And so now I'm an official podcaster.
Right.
So I've got to get those and convert them because they're really good, especially with Father Talk and Vesper Della Terry talking about the Thanksgiving. It is hilarious.
No, yeah.
The American Greek Thanksgiving.
Right. With Terry going, that's not how I remember it,
We put the link in the description if anybody would like to check it out.
So,
Thank you.
All right.
Anyways, do check it out. If you go online and you see this icon, that'll be It's All Greek to Me podcast. Normally you'll see my face on there. I look a lot younger, less hair, but
oh man. So it's like I said, it's been great having you. Again, we're taking a 1 week hiatus, and we will see you the week of 4th of July, right?
this is
We'll be back on the 8th.
On the 8th. So looking forward to seeing you all then, huh?
yeah.
Everybody have a great night.
Cheers.